All right, guys, we need to have a serious conversation. We say we dive into it. All right, guys, welcome back to this episode of Rolling with T-Bone. As we are rolling down the road on the 92 Springer. Been a little while since the Springer's been on the channel. Been mostly Blue Moon and Big Papa made an appearance. But here we are rolling down the road on an absolutely gorgeous afternoon. If you're new here, welcome in. My name's T-Bone. I shoot motorcycle related content and, well, any kind of content really. If you're old here, welcome back. You know what's going on. Yeah, guys, it's time to have a serious conversation. Those of you who have been following my channel for a little while have seen me post a couple of posts and heard me talk about an organization in Tampa, Florida called Forgotten Angels. Now, Forgotten Angels is a organization that helps young men who have aged out of the foster system. You know, basically they've turned 18 and the foster families no longer have any need for them. The money's dried up and they just give these young men whatever little belongings that they have, and they just turn them out into the big bad world and say, here you go, see you, bye. And that's really very sad, guys. It really is. You know, it's really sad, like I say, guys, because these young men, you know, they've ended up into the foster system, and it's not their fault. Let's just start by saying that. Can we just agree that as a child who ends up into the foster system, I know sometimes there's some bad eggs, but that's not the ones we're focusing on. We're focusing on these young men who, through no fault of their own, whether it be lost their parents and the grandparents couldn't take care of them, or the parents couldn't take care of them, you know, no matter what the situation, they end up in the foster system. And essentially, you know, if they go in from the time they're 5-year-old to the year they turn 18, they're essentially lost in the system. And the serious part of this conversation is they're not a person when they're in that system. They are nothing more than a check. Plain and simple. The foster parents get paid to take these kids in, feed them, give them the bare essentials that they need to survive, and that's it. They are a check. They're a check number. That's it. Money comes attached to being a foster parent. Now, before I go any further, I will say not all foster parents are bad. So if you're a foster parent and you're watching this, I'm not attacking foster parents. What I'm trying to do is bring light to an organization that is willing to do what most people in their everyday life won't do. Regina has spent time in the foster system. R1, my wife, y'all know R1, she has spent time in the foster system, and she lucked out. She had a great set of foster parents, which she didn't completely live all of her young life in the foster system, but she did end up in foster care for a little while, and she had a family, John and Ellen, local people here. If you know about the foster system, then you know who John and Ellen Grizzle is. Guys, salt of the earth, Christian man and woman, awesome people. I met them through R1, and we all became instant friends. R1 still calls her Papa John and Mama Ellen. Great folks, great people. So I'm not attacking foster parents, because I know not all foster parents are bad. But I want to talk about the foster kids for just a minute. Just the young men who get tossed out into the street when they turn 18. Now, a lot of us who are quote-unquote middle-aged, and I will say from 35 to 50, we can still remember what it was like turning 18, you know, living at home or whatever, wherever, whatever your situation was. And if you've never been involved in the foster system, it's hard to imagine. But try to just imagine, you know, being a young man, basically you've wondered your whole life why no one cares for you, why no one has stepped forward family-wise and said, hey, you know, you're our family, we love you, we will take care of you. You know, 18-year-old tossed out on the street, and for most of their life, they already feel like no one loves them. They already feel like no one cares enough about them to even give them the basic things. So imagine being 5 years old, guys. Through no fault of your own, something happens with your parents. You end up going into the foster system at 5 years old. Okay, there's horror stories about kids going into foster homes, guys. And those stories are very real, they're very legit. But try to imagine being a 5-year-old kid, and through no fault of your own, and through no real understanding, because you're just a kid and the adults aren't going to explain much to you. All of a sudden you wake up and you're in a different home. You're with people you don't know. You're not getting that one-on-one attention. You're not getting any kind of social skills, because they won't take the time to talk to you. They won't take the time to teach you the bare necessities of life. Guys, I've listened to a lot of the stories that have come out of Forgotten Angels, whether it be through Shade Tree Surgeon's channel or other channels that I've watched to research and listen. I've just listened. You know, you hear about 18-year-old kids who can't tie their own tennis shoes. They have to wear slip-on shoes or Velcro shoes because no one ever took a couple of minutes and said, hey, little guy, let me show you how to tie a knot, and I'll show you how to double the knot so your shoes won't come untied while you're trying to play. Imagine being a grown, you know, what the state would consider a grown man, 18-year-old, not being able to tie your shoes, not being able to go to a restaurant and order a meal off of a menu at a restaurant, not understanding what the difference between do I have enough or not have enough is. Meaning, can I afford to eat, or do I have to starve tonight? I mean, and I know this all sounds harsh to say, and I know in this country we always turn the blind eye to whether it be these kids coming out of the foster system, or whether it be veterans living on the streets who went and fought for the country, and the Veterans Administration won't take care of them. A woman and her kids living with domestic violence. We always seem to be able, excuse me, guys. We always seem to be able to turn a blind eye to things in our country. And it's very, very sad. It really is, and it's very disheartening. And I'm not just trying to lather on an old sob story for you. I'm trying to give you a real life situation that what these young men are going through is very real. Okay, now, we've talked a little bit about the foster kids. Let's talk about the people who are trying to help these young men. Tampa, Florida is called Forgotten Angels. It's ran by a man named David Tyler and his wife Cindy. Dave and Cindy Tyler run Forgotten Angels. And basically what they try to do, guys, is they try to bring these young men in off the street, keep them from turning to street gangs, keep them from turning to drugs, keep them from turning to prostitution. All the bad things that are readily available for those young men by people who would take advantage of them and then go home at night and lay down and sleep a just sleep because they don't mind taking advantage of people. Okay, what Dave and Cindy have done is taken all of their property and they have started building tiny homes. And these boys learn how to work on the tiny homes, electricity, they get to have a pet. David tries to teach them a little bit of you know, quick skills to try to get them a job, to help them learn how to get a bank account open, teach them how to save money, teach them how to save up to get things that they need. Basically be mom and dad to an 18-year-old young man who has never had mom and dad, or who had mom and dad and through no fault of their own had mom and dad ripped away from them. So basically what Dave and Cindy are trying to do, like I said, is they're trying to give these young men structure. And it takes. And a lot of the young men go on to, you know, get their own homes. They get to move off of the property, but they never forget it. So what is it all about then? What is Forgotten Angels all about? We've talked about the people who run it. We've talked a little bit about the foster kids, the people who ran it. Now let's talk about the organization itself. This organization, guys, I don't know because I'm not in the inner circle, but I would imagine on a monthly basis, electricity for, you know, say 20 kids, 20 small homes, food, clothes, can you help me buy lunch at work? Can you take me to work? Can you come and pick me up and take me back home? I would imagine that their bills, monthly bills, run way into the thousands. Because it doesn't just stop with the kids at the Forgotten Angels compound. They, you know, they will take, like in the wintertime when it dipped down real cold in Tampa, he took food, he took blankets out to homeless people, shoes, because some of them didn't have shoes. And it's just, the man is trying to be a good human. So monetarily, and I saw a comment, and I don't even remember whose page I was on, but I saw a comment that said, well, throwing money at the problem isn't going to help it. And I want to say this, and I'm not trying to come to the defense of anything just because. I'm not trying to put myself out there as a good human and come to the defense. I'm just trying to say, if you learn the backstory of Forgotten Angels, and I'm saying go to the website, guys, go over to YouTube, Shade Tree Surgeon, his niece, Shay Lacey. There is tons of videos showing the property, telling you about the young men who live on the property. You get to meet Dave and Cindy. They have a special message on there. Go to the website, Forgotten Angels website. Research it for yourself. But when I read the comment that it's just throwing money at another problem, no, if that is the takeaway, that you believe helping these young men is just throwing money at the problem, you're wrong. You're wrong. This is in no way, shape, or form throwing money at a problem. This is ensuring that an organization can proceed each day, month after month, expand, evolve, grow, be able to help more young men. And I had mentioned this in the Shade Tree Surgeon's live chat the other night. I'd asked the question about if Dave had heard any more about property in Georgia. He said he wasn't sure, but I thought I had heard in someone's video that, and it might have been when they recorded at the camp out, that it's maybe Dave's sister, Dave Tyler's sister, or somebody had found property in Georgia and that they were going to try to expand into Georgia. And man, I would love that, because living in Georgia, if I could get them within a couple hours of where I'm at, I would be able to go help them out. I would do everything I could to help them out. But that's off the subject. But it's not just throwing money at the situation. Like I said, it's ensuring that the organization is able to continue functioning. Electricity, water, food, just the simple necessities of life that these young men need. They depend on Dave and Cindy to help them with it. And in return, Dave and Cindy are trying to teach them the basic need, the basic responsibilities of life, to be able to go out and to become members of society and to be able to function as members of society. Like I said, keeping them away from all the people who would just take advantage of them just because they could. So yeah, I mean, when I saw that it's just throwing money at the situation, that really bothered me, because there is a lot of those organizations and they only show up once a year. You'll hear some kind of telethon or some kind of radiothon going on, and they only come around Christmas time, and they only last for a couple of days. Or you'll see a commercial on television and they'll run the same commercial for 2 or 3 years, and $5 a day. If you could just donate $5 a day, you could feed 12 children. Well, that's great. But when you get into that situation, you get at the top of the tree, and then all that money hits different limbs as it comes down. So now that brings me to the point behind the video. Say you come to the end of the week and you've got an extra $10, an extra $15, and you want to go to the Forgotten Angels website and you want to say, hey, you know what, it's a small amount, it's all I can afford, but please take this and add it to whatever it is the need is, because there is no tree limbs. This money goes straight into the Forgotten Angels of Tampa bank account, where bills get taken out of it, food bills get taken out of it, needs get taken out of it. You're giving directly to the organization. There's no vice president or president or chairman or chief executive officer, chief operator. There's none of that. It just goes straight to Dave and Cindy's Forgotten Angels bank account, and it goes to help with what is needed. And I know, guys, I know money's tight for a lot of people right now. It is for me. Everything going on with Regina, with the cancer, her stroke, money is just not there. And now we're having vehicle issues. I mean, there's just a lot of things going on. But even if you can't afford to give $20, $10, $15, $25, just tell somebody about it. Hey, have you heard about Forgotten Angels? Let me kind of talk to you about what this group's doing. Kind of like what I'm doing with you guys right now. That, word of mouth, maybe it hits the right ear for somebody who can donate $100, who can't afford to donate $200, $300. To operate the way they do per year, I would hate to know exactly how much it costs per year to operate, because I would imagine it would be a scary number. I really do. I would imagine that to find out the operating cost of Forgotten Angels yearly would be scary. Hundreds of thousands, I would imagine. But what they do twice a year, this is where Shade Tree Surgeon, Shay Lacey, the whole Shade Tree Army, those of you on Facebook who don't mess with YouTube, if you got a YouTube, go over, just search Shade Tree Surgeon, and you can learn everything you want to learn about Josh, his niece Shay Lacey, the whole Brap Star crew, the Shade Tree Army. There's a ton of them there. But it's selfless, and it's not, I'm not saying to go think about giving a donation or telling somebody about this. I'm not saying do this just so you can go, hey, look at me, I'm a good person, look what I did. Do it because it's the right thing and you want to. Do it because you see there is a need. I mean, how much money as Americans do we blow? I mean, let's just be honest. If we stop and talk to our true selves, How much money do we blow in a year's time on nonsense? You get where I'm going with this. So now we're at the time of the year, March. I don't have the exact date, and I've heard it 100 times, but it is this month. If you'll go over to Shade Tree Surgeon's channel, you can find out there's a camp out. It's called the Forgotten Angels Camp Out. They do it 2 times a year, once in the spring, once in the fall, October, they do it again. And they usually raffle off motorcycles, they raffle off a truck, they raffle off a Hummer. Dave Tyler himself is raffling off one of his personal motorcycles this time. You know, I don't know, it was a raffle. I'm not sure how many tickets were available. They may already all be sold out. But even if they are, guys, donate 25 bucks if you can. Donate $20 if you can. Donate $10 if you can. And like I said, don't do it just because you can brag and say, hey, I'm a good person, look what I did. Do it because you see that there is a need and you want to try to help fill the need. And like I said, I hope that they are able to come to Georgia, because I would love to be able to meet Dave and Cindy. You know, if they got closer to me, maybe me and R1 could travel to their compound in Georgia and, you know, volunteer to help do something, volunteer to, you know, try to do anything with good, because y'all know that I am looking for that one, you know, that one organization to stand behind. And I'm not, you know, people have brought up Toys for Tots and empty stocking and all that, and that's all great, and I do support that, but that gets a lot of support. I mean, I hate to say it, but it does get a lot of support. But it only happens once a year. The need for Forgotten Angels is year-round. Year-round. You know, just because the camera's shut off and you quit hearing about it doesn't mean it goes away. It's still going on, and it's still happening, and it's year-round. But you know, like I said, I had told Shade Tree Surgeon on his live chat that I was going to try to do a video, and I have did videos on Forgotten Angels before. If you guys want to scroll down through my list, you'll find it. But one thing was, and it was on a video, it wasn't in a chat or anything, I had just saw, and I'm trying to remember whose page it was on when I was watching the video. And guys, so many people shoot videos about Forgotten Angels that it's hard to keep up with who does what. But it's just an offhand comment that someone made, oh, you're just throwing money at another situation. And I thought, man, if that is the takeaway that you're getting from helping another human being out, when you're not donating to a huge conglomerate organization, there's no tree branches, all the money's going directly to that organization, and you can go to the Forgotten Angels camp out. You can call Dave and Cindy, and you can go visit the compound anytime you want to. It's in Tampa, Florida. You can go visit and see, there's where my money's going, there's where my money's going, there's where my money's going. You can see your money on the campground. You can see your money on the compound. You can see your money on the feet of the young men who aged out of foster care. You can see it across the backs of the young men, whether it be a t-shirt or a jacket. You can see where your donation went. You know, your money's not just poof disappearing. And, you know, I think I've watched enough videos about Dave Tyler, and I've heard enough people talk about Dave and Cindy that they don't charge these kids anything. Let's just say that. They do not charge these kids anything. They try to teach them how to get jobs, how to learn a trade. You know, Dave makes sure they know how to run a motorcycle. He makes sure they know how to drive a car. He teaches them life skills. Like I said in the beginning, he teaches them things that other people never took the time to teach these young men. Could you imagine, guys, being an 18-year-old kid and not knowing how to tie your shoes? Not knowing how to order food off of a menu at a restaurant? Not knowing how to act going into a movie theater to sit down and watch a movie with a friend? Because you have no social skills, because no one ever cared enough to take the time to sit down with you and say, hey buddy, this is how things work. You were just a check, and when you turned 18 and the check drew up, the money dried up and the check went away, they put your stuff in a black garbage bag, push you out the door and say good luck. And I know that sounds harsh, and I'm not trying to water it down. I want you to understand this is very real. I'm not going to try to water it down and make it sound like it's sweet, because it's not. They literally push these young men out the door and say, best of luck to you. There is no more advantage of us being in your life because the check dried up and the money's gone. I mean, when you sit on that, you swallow that for a minute, you know, it's one of those real life situations. I mean, nobody's making it up. You can go see these kids. You can go meet these kids. And it's not just in Tampa, Florida. And I know what some of you folks here in Georgia, and if you're watching this anywhere else in the country, if your state does it, fantastic. If you have somebody in your state that's doing it, absolutely help them out. But I know that the overall goal for Forgotten Angels is to be able to get to every state, to be able to have a compound in every state where they can say, okay, you're out of the foster system, we will help you, we will help take care of you, we will try our best to teach you what you need to know to exist and live. Wouldn't you want to be part of that? Wouldn't you want to be able to say, hey, my 10 bucks a month, my 15 bucks a month, my 20 bucks a month, my 25 bucks a month, it goes to help that. I mean, wouldn't you want to be able to say that? Hey, little guy, I like your four-wheeler. Sorry, guy. Cute little guy, he's on his little four-wheeler. Kind of goes into what we're saying. A foster kid man never had nothing like that. But anyway, I didn't want to rant, but I thought it was time that I try to keep a light tone to a lot of things, and I try to do a lot of historical stuff about motorcycles and about everything. And I don't know, there was just something about that comment that got my gears flowing, and I thought, you know what? I think it's time that on my platform, this is my page. Nobody asked me to do this. Nobody asked me to say all this. Nobody asked me to do content on it. I wanted to do it just because I could. So I want to use my platform to put some light on that situation. And I want to say to the people out there, if you think that it's just throwing money at a problem, you know, it's really sad. It breaks my heart that you think of it that way. That you would think of anything that would do to help a kid, anything to help a young person. And, you know, we can look at each other at 40, 45, 50 years old. I mean, come on. An 18-year-old's a kid. Especially when they don't have any skills in life. When they don't have any social skills. When they don't have the basic skills to just live. Do you really want to look at it and say, well, I'm just throwing money at a problem? But anyway, guys, that's kind of my rant. Go check out Josh over at Shade Tree Surgeon on YouTube. His niece, Shay Lacey. And all of the Brapstar crew. The Shade Tree Army is in full effect there. And it's growing. Josh's channel's growing. And it's getting more views for Forgotten Angels and everything that goes along with that. But I'll tell you what, guys, I hope y'all have enjoyed these last few days of just sunshine and 70 degrees, and it's been beautiful. And if you didn't get out and ride your motorcycle, and I'm talking to you, Fender, I know you rode one day. I know Gene Smith rode. But if you didn't take advantage of these last 3 or 4 days of beautiful sunshine and get out and ride your motorcycle, shame on you. But anyway, guys, thank you for coming along with me on this ride. Thanks for letting me bend your ear about Forgotten Angels. Go check them out. Check out all the folks that I mentioned on YouTube. If you like my content, go down and watch some more videos. Make sure you like my content. If you do, subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell. Like my videos. That helps me in the algorithm. Share the video about Forgotten Angels. Just share this video. If you never talk to nobody because you're an invert, you stay in all the time. If you ran across this video, just share this video. That way someone else can go find out about Forgotten Angels. But guys, until the next time I see y'all, take care of yourselves and each other. I'm T-Bone, and this has been Rolling with T-Bone.